Hi, and welcome to Crypto Talks. And today we are talking about what is blockchain and why it doesn't work. Andrea Dalla Val from Global Income Coin is joining us for the discussion. Hi, and welcome to the channel, Andrea.
Hi, and thanks for having me here today.
No problem at all. No problem. It's great to have you here. So, Andrea, I wanted to dive straight in today. A lot of people don't understand entirely what blockchain is. So can you tell us in simple words, how does blockchain work and what are the objects of the technology?
Yeah, sure. So blockchain means running application, particularly application in banking and finance, on a decentralized network made of a multitude of independent nodes. This as opposed to running the same apps on a centralized server controlled by one centralized authority. Centralized authority is, for example, Visa. Mr. Visa runs a server and manages all user transactions. And that works very well. But that implies our possession and transfers are under control of and handled by someone. Back in 2009, Mr. Nakamoto introduced the idea of having all these transactions not processed by someone, but instead processed by a network of independent servers, so that there is no middleman and no authority exercising power over them. This is very much more inefficient than doing it with a centralized server. Because in blockchain in general, there are 100,000 servers, and all of them are used to do the same thing. And additionally, they even have to coordinate within each other. It's like moving in efficiency from 1 to 1 million. So when you want to run an app in blockchain, there must be a very much compelling reason to justify this inefficiency. And the only one making sense to me is the characteristic of blockchain to be censorship resilient and free from point of authority.
Okay, so you're saying because transactions are executed by a lot of servers, there is no chance for a creditor or an oppressive government to seize or route funds. Is that right?
Exactly. A bunch of servers record all transactions, and even if you were able to tamper one of them, the other one would continue to update the ledger correctly and to preserve the integrity of the ledger. And the majority in blockchain is what matters. If you don't copy with it, you are simply out of the consensus and outside the blockchain effectively.
That sounds brilliant. So what is the consensus and what is, why is proof needed?
The consensus is the mechanism used to coordinate all nodes of the blockchain and the methodology to distribute voting power to each of them. We shall note that the network of servers has to be open to everyone. Otherwise, we would be back to the same setup in which some authority issues the permission to others, and that would be not so much different from the setup we have with Visa. So if the network is open to everyone, then we need to introduce a consensus protocol that ensures that no possible attacker would be able to personify or create a multitude of nodes with the intent of gaining control over the network. In other words, we need to establish a proof of genuine participation to the network that prevents Sybil attacks.
And how does proof of work and proof of stake work?
Right. So in approximate and simple terms, proof of work function like this. One node is given a unit of voting power and associated rewards as long as it is able to solve a crypto puzzle which requires a lot of computational power, i.e. electrical energy. That means participants have to waste energy to acquire voting power in the consensus protocol. In the proof of stake consensus, voting and rewards are instead assigned according to the stake, which are the number of coins held by the participant in the network itself. The more an entity holds stake in the blockchain, the more voting power is received. This carries on the improvement on the energy wasted, but unfortunately, it does not solve the intrinsic problem of all proof of investment, which ultimately failed the goal of creating a decentralized network outside the control of a limited number of entities.
Interesting. And with proof of investment, you mean proof of work and proof of stake, I suppose. So please tell me more about that. You know, what is not working with proofs of investment?
Well, think of Bitcoin. When it was in the value of 50 US dollars or below, it was run by householders, plugging in their socket to mine Bitcoin inside their house or at the university, wherever. As the network scaled up, it became very quickly the playground of just a few mining pools, very well organized and running their businesses on economies of scale, using big facilities and buying energy at very low cost. Mining became no longer convenient for individuals. In fact, nowadays, nobody mines Bitcoin other than mining pools. Proof of stake is no different. Once the network becomes valuable, its control gets in the hands of a few entities that hold the majority of the stakes and therefore of the voting power. There are plenty of examples for it. Cardano is controlled by 30 entities. Solana is controlled by 100 entities. Ethereum, under the proof of stake, will be likely controlled by 200, 250 entities.
Okay, but everyone in the proof of stake can participate as much as they want. Isn't that decentralization and distribution of power? You know, at what point is decentralization missing?
The circumstance that the network is populated by a multitude of participants is irrelevant if the majority of the power is in the hands of just few ones. And that is pretty much inevitable in the proof of stake, as some entities invest billions, whereas individuals normally own stakes for a few hundreds of dollars. I like to point out that there is a serious misconception about the meaning of decentralization. A decentralized network is not merely a network made of a multitude of entities. It is instead a network in which the control is held by a multitude of entities, independent and unable to collude or associate within themselves. And that is never the case of proof of investment.
That's interesting. So you were saying proofs of investment inevitably carry along a concentration of power. How bad does that impact the blockchain overall?
Well, that basically destroys the entire concept of blockchain and makes it meaningless. A blockchain controlled by a few entities does not address the goal of no authority and censorship resistance, as we mentioned early on. It is just a bunch of servers producing a lot of waste and inefficiency for nothing. It doesn't make sense. And it is easy to see this fragility in the current blockchain. You don't even need to ban Bitcoin. You just shut off its electrical supplies and the network is dwindled to a very small blockchain. See the recent events in Kazakhstan as evidence of that. For proof of stake networks like Solana, Cardano, Ethereum, an authority somewhere in the world suggesting the eventuality of a crypto crackdown triggers massive sell-offs, mostly coming from big holders. And that obviously results in greater financial losses for small ones.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, that's interesting. So is that why you are introducing the proof of identity?
Yes, exactly. Proof of identity is the only possible consensus protocol ensuring real decentralization because based on individuals. It replaces proof of work and proof of stake with a green, democratic, one counts one consensus. And because it has a strong appeal to individuals, it paves the way to a global adoption of all cryptos.
Amazing. That sounds amazing. Well, yeah, incredible. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Andrea. It's been good to have you here. I look forward to continuing this talk in our next episode. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for the next video of our series on the proof of identity. If you wish to know more about the global income coin and the proof of identity itself, click the link on the bottom. But yeah, thanks for watching and see you next time.